Felix Ofosu-Kwakye is the spokesperson for President John Dramani Mahama. Na wakasa ya ori ensembi atodwa. Na watwen adwen asi ratings bi a Bloomberg and as a report bi a Bloomberg e de abetodwa ya HSL President John Dramani Mahama any NDC amanyoko no asset record bi a since the CD was redenominated. No government, no president has been able to set that record. Namely, President John Dramani Mahama, the finance minister, the gold board, and then the cabinet, Atima set an outstanding record that a government be intimate and set a record benya and said no, a video ya made by Watcher with Jibre, Nati a Felix Ofosu-Kwakye. Now, what ye and send me now they were venture about a comment section hall. A higher daily updates. Subscribe to the channel, belly notification, na share my afofro and Kesi.
Sure, it's part of the responsibilities that I have as a minister responsible for government communications to keep the public informed and let them know exactly what is happening. I mean, there's a passage in the Bible that talks about lighting a candle and putting it under a table. Now, you need to put it on a lampstick, a lamppost, if you like, so that it may shine the light onto the path of those who are coming. So it's one thing to deliver, but it's also another thing to keep the public informed so that they can appreciate what difficulties there are, why the successes you've chalked have come about, and what the benefits of those successes are. Of course, there are many ways of doing that. The issuance of press statements, granting interviews, holding press briefings like we do the accountability series where the health minister was this week. Next week, all things being equal, barring any last minute unforeseen development, the Minister for Agric will appear to update the public on interventions under his ministry. The famous Akroma and its rollout will be addressed, and all other matters relating to the agri sector will be addressed. So appearing here is one more strand to that approach, and I'm more than happy to be available to clarify issues and shed light on happenings in government. Yeah. There are other roads to that will be addressed in due course. So, in all, things are much better now than they were at the time that we took over. But let me assure my brother Okoboy that we are very focused on delivering on the mandates that the people of Ghana gave us. It was an overwhelming mandate, and I'm sure he remembers that on many occasions where we met here before the elections, I used to caution about how things were simply not right in the country. He retained hope that they will be re-elected. But I think he contested for parliament himself, and the results showed clearly that people were unhappy with their government. It was not just the fact that they lost, but the margin by which they lost shows clearly that we were right in the analysis that we carried out in the prelude to the elections, and that they simply didn't govern properly. In government, there are many things that we have. Government does many things. And several people are appointed to several different portfolios. So everybody has their own. So those who have been inviting him and others to Yoko have that as their mandate. That is what they do full time. Whilst they are doing that, it does not preclude me, as government communication minister, for instance, from ensuring the dissemination of government information to the public. It hasn't stopped the finance minister from managing the economy and ensuring that today our currency is in much better position. Overall, it has appreciated 37%. Last year, it depreciated 27%. Year to date, it has appreciated by 37%. Indeed, there's a report that I saw a couple of days ago, which said that this is the first time this has happened since the redenomination of the currency under President Kufuor.
It's a Bloomberg report.
Absolutely. Unprecedented performance. And this has happened even as accountability is being exacted from members of the government that he was part of. So often you hear NPP propaganda say, oh, we should focus on governance and leave those that are being held accountable alone. Clearly, they are missing the point. They are missing the point. You can walk and chew gum. People have responsibilities and they will be carried out. And I can also assure that due process is being followed. In fact, it's one of the reasons why the process has been meticulous. They are the ones who shout that the Attorney General is not moving fast enough. Yeah, the moment the Attorney General clamps down on any of them, hey, our rights have been abused. The fact is that these things are being done fairly, in a manner that does not infringe on anybody's rights. And to the extent that there is evidence to show that there is wrongdoing, due process will be followed. Whatever the case may be, whoever is accused will be given opportunity, as the law requires, to provide responses to any claims made against the person. And if a court finds that his responses are adequate, that they answer the charges leveled against him, he will be made to work. I think that is a clearly established process in our country's history, and there's no reason to worry about that. But as for the accountability, to be exact, and the fact is that some of the things that have been discovered have been mind-boggling. In recent weeks, people have been shocked about what we are discovering. This light wave matter, for instance, that the health, I'm sure we'll go into it, that the health minister.
Yes, it's one of the topics that we're looking at.
It's mind-boggling. The, what do you call it, the buffer stock matter is shocking. The national service one, as for that one, is just mind-blowing. And there's even more to come. I told you about the audit that has been carried out into the arrears that they said we had inherited. When we came, they said we had about 170 billion Ghana cedis of arrears. There's an audit that has been conducted by the Auditor General, and the results are mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. I'm sure that the Finance Minister will have opportunity going for you to speak to it, maybe in his budget or after that. And it will show that, you know, it was not just that there was corruption. There was general recklessness. You wonder exactly what it was that was leading government to conduct itself in the way that they were conducting themselves. The wanton dissipation of resources. Look, I doubt that there will ever be a government where you won't find one or two instances of wrongdoing on the part of appointees. Unfortunately, it's human nature, so people get involved in these things. But the levels to which it was taken under the previous government and the things that we discovered, in opposition, we could only rely on the information that was available at the time. You in the media used to bombard us daily with allegations of wrongdoing, with instances of corruption, and what have you. But what we have found is simply astonishing. So it was as if the national purse was intentionally open wide for people to help themselves to. And everybody was grabbing anything they could lay hands on and getting away with it. Some of the decisions were shocking. So I think that it is something that we can get into. But overall, governance is good. President Mahama currently is in France.
Yeah.
He met the French president yesterday to hold bilateral discussions and explore ways of cooperation between the two countries and how we as a country can benefit from it. From there, he will proceed to Egypt as the guest of the Egyptian president to open the Egyptian National Museum. So he should be back here on 2nd November. Shortly after that, we expect the arrival of the German president to pay a 2-day state visit to Ghana. Official notification will go out very soon on that particular matter. And governance will continue to go on with a view to delivering cutting-edge governance to the people of Ghana.
All right.
That is true. Indeed, as far back as March, when the finance minister read the maiden budget of this government, he indicated the allocation of 13.9 billion Ghana cedis, roughly equivalent to $1 billion, for the purposes of financing Big Push. And the minister had said that in total, we expect to, over the next 2-3 years, devote about 60 billion Ghana cedis to fixing Ghana's roads. Now, often what has happened is that we have stretched ourselves thin, you know, and done things piecemeal. So we are never really able to resolve one particular problem comprehensively. So this time round, we know that there's a major difficulty with roads. I've highlighted the problems with roads in AAK, for instance. I'm sure it's something that is pervasive and widespread. So we want to devote that kind of resources to fix the roads once and for all. And there are major roads that some of them already exist, but they've deteriorated. Some too have become too narrow and simply unable to accommodate the level of traffic and movement. Some of them too have become death traps. Some of them are just single carriageways. So there's a need to expand them. There's a need to modernize them. Some too, we need to make some interventions in terms of interchanges and what have you. So all of those have been captured. There are some roads that we inherited that, again, were not funded. They said they were on GOG budget, but you know that GOG budget hardly is enough to do anything. So they were not funded and therefore have been bequeathed to us, and we have a responsibility to continue with them. So the Ministry of Roads and Highways yesterday provided an update on where they are with things and indicated that work has already begun. Indeed, last week or so, the president was in Takoradi to cut sod for the 73-kilometer Cape Coast to Takoradi road, which is going to be dualized. The contractor is actually on site and has started working already. About 3 weeks ago or a month ago, the president was in Ho to cut sword for that stretch of the road. The Afenya-Dowenya road too is something that the president has cut sword for. So all these show that work has begun. And one of the problems that we've had is that releases are not timely. So sometimes the roads deteriorate even before the contractors get payment for the extent of work that they've done. So the finance minister has said that this time round he is prepared to pay within 2 weeks of the submission of verified certificates that have been audited and found to be commensurate with the work done on the ground. That within 2 weeks he is in a position to ensure that payment is done. And in fact, he demonstrated that by releasing $77 million, that's about 800 million Ghana cedis, to the contractor on the, I think, of Anko to Insawom Road. And that kind of money has gone in. So you see that there's significant improvement. A few months ago, it became a major problem when the rains are setting. So that is what it is about. It is not audio money. It is actual money that the finance minister has ring-fenced and is going to use to finance this level of development. So in 2 years, we should see significant, or let's say by the end of the 4 years, we should see significant improvements in roads, major arterial roads.
Before you
so
continue,
there's also an initiative to construct the roads in about 170 constituencies across Ghana, or 170 districts. Let me put it that way. So every year, each district gets 10 kilometers of road every year. So that's 40 kilometers of road for roads per constituency in the next 4 years, multiplied by 170. So you see the extent of work that will be done. We believe that by the end of this, the issues of dilapidated roads, deteriorated roads, immotorable roads should be behind us. I'm sure there will be more work to be done. There will never be an end to constructing roads, but this will significantly improve the roads and put us in a position where we are able to facilitate the movement of goods and services more rapidly than we are currently able to do.
And all these are GOG funded?
Yes.
We're not borrowing?
No, but currently we are not allowed to borrow. We have a borrowing ceiling of $250 million, which will be inadequate to finance the $1 billion or so that is needed for this kind of facility. Thanks to Okoboy and his friends' mismanagement of the Ghanaian economy, the door has been shut in our face in the international financial market. We can't borrow. The IMF too has placed a limit of 250. In fact, they left about 55 projects that require over $1.7 billion to complete. And yeah, we are only able to borrow $250 million. So the money we are using for big push is not borrowing money. Indeed, we went to Parliament to ask that all the proceeds of APFA, the annual budget funding amount that would have gone to the budget, should be allocated to big push. And that is what is being used. So it is monies that we are generating ourselves, not monies that we are going to borrow. Mm-hmm. And so that also shows that it's possible to limit borrowing, improve the economy, and then ensure that infrastructure is fixed. Contrary to the model that our friends in the MPP believed in, borrowed us into non-existence, left us with over 720 billion Ghana cedis in debt. Mm. Currently, thanks to the appreciation of the cedi, that has dropped to about 650 billion or so. And our debt to GDP ratio has also dropped significantly since we took power. So overall, I think that everybody can attest that we've done much better than what we inherited. Mm. We have been in government before, and indeed, President Mahama has actually been president before. He's the only president in Ghana who has left power and come back through democratic means. And when we were campaigning, we used to emphasize his experience and the fact that he knows the terrain already, and therefore will hit the ground running. So, and that is telling. It has come to play in the sort of governance that he has offered thus far. Some of the things that happened under the MPP, they were not the ordinary issues that we used to banter about. In my earlier submission, I indicated that you will hardly find a situation where one or two things won't happen under a government. There are always people trying to make a quick buck and all that. So that will fit into Okoboy's model of the armed robbery, or the analogy that he devised about armed robbery, and whether or not you can keep such people at bay from political parties. But we are talking of extraordinary levels of financial imprudence and recklessness, and outright corruption and dissipation of state resources. Look, the National Service scandal that you've read about, the Auditor General's report that was released, have you heard anything of the sort in the history of Ghana? In fact, last week I told you that a similar occurrence happened under President Mahama, But if you look at the level of it and compare it to what has happened, especially when those who replaced the people who were taken through a certain legal process for misconducting themselves in the case of national service had opportunity to learn from the mistakes of the past and didn't do so. You cannot gloss over this. The details of the buffer stock case, as the Attorney General highlighted, are mind-boggling. The Adubuahin case. And there are many others that will come. When the Auditor General's report on the payment of arrears comes, you would even marvel as to whether or not we actually had a government. And indeed, the NPP had also actually been in government before. So they were expected to draw lessons from this thing. And that was supposed to inform how they manage public resources. In fact, President Akufo-Addo made a clear commitment at his inauguration on January 7th, 2017, that he will protect the public purse. He didn't do that. The outcomes show that he did not do that. So the people of Ghana began to demand action. And we, as the opposition party at the time, and the next available alternative, responded to that clarion call by fashioning out a policy to demand accountability in ways that satisfy public demand, whilst putting in place measures to avoid their recurrence. And that is what gave birth to oral. So oral is in fact a policy that we canvassed before the people of Ghana, which they bought into. So we have a duty to roll it out. In this rollout, the people of Ghana must be updated. And that is the only reason why the Attorney General updates the people. The Attorney General doesn't do anything out of the ordinary. The charges that he filed against Abdul Hanan this week, they were published. I don't know whether you've seen it.
Right.
Are they different from what he disclosed at the press conference? No, it's the same issues. And in fact, under Okoboye's government, Godfrey Dami used to put out charge sheets when he charged people. When he charged Atufosin and Co, he published it. So the details of the allegations were contained in it. It is the same thing that Ahini has done. Dr. Dominic Ahini has done as Attorney General. The only difference is that he has done it on the public platform and shown transparency and accountability. He has given reasons why Abdul Hanan, his wife, and the three others were taken through the processes preceding the arraignment before court. And that is what he has done in some of the cases. Of course, not all of them that he will be able to speak to. But the significant ones, he has opened it up for public scrutiny. When the Attorney General goes to court, the public knows what charges he is preferring against the people. Court proceedings are open to the public. They are covered by the media. So it is unclear to me why the MPP is up in arms about the Attorney General informing them. The people of Ghana are our employers. They are our bosses. It is their resources that are used to pay us. The investigations the Attorney General is conducting is paid for by the taxpayer. All the officials, some of whose names Okobo has mentioned this morning, are public officials who are paid with the taxpayers' money. The work they do is not secret. They are not operating under the cover of darkness. And so when they do their work and they update us up as to where they've got to, I don't think that there's any difficulty with it. And it is not true that the MPP kept quiet when they charged people under them. Their social media propagandists were all over the place, publishing details of court proceedings and charges against people. So we have never had a situation where anybody has been tried in Ghana in secret. And I have told you before that this is actually standard practice. In the most liberal, advanced democracies, where human rights are protected better than we do here, charges are discussed publicly, including very high-profile personalities. So the MPP really is chasing after shadows. You can understand why they don't want these things disclosed. Because as far as they're concerned, it only confirms that the people of Ghana were right to vote against them. And that it may hurt their chances going forward as a political party. Because people will see that when they entrusted them with responsibility, they were reckless and dissipated public resources. That is all that they are worried about.
So you don't agree with him when he says that the style of the presentation of the issues, it's seeking to assassinate people's characters and making them look as though they are criminals, even before a competent court of jurisdiction.
No, how so? When the Attorney General files charges and he discloses the details of the charges, what the person is alleged to have done, and it is published in the media, is the character of the person involved assassinated.
Right.
It is not. It is public scrutiny. It is public scrutiny. That's all that there is. So it is one of two things. I did it, I didn't do it. Yesterday, all the people who have been taken to court so far have pleaded not guilty. They will have opportunity to defend themselves. Why? In the 214 case, even before the trial ended, the appeals court threw out the charges leveled against them. Meanwhile, everything that had to be said had been said about them. Governor, did he not grant interviews in the 214 matter? Did MPP communicators not publicize the details of the charges against the 214 and co? But the court cleared him. Okay. Why? O.J. Simpson. And I refer to him a lot because perhaps he's the gold standard in these things. Look at the publicity that case was given. In fact, the case was transmitted live. It was a criminal case, but it was transmitted live. In the end, the jury found him not guilty.
Okay.
So I don't understand. The Attorney General can never pronounce anybody guilty. The Attorney General says that my investigations show that the boy has done A, B, C, D. For this reason, I am taking him to court on this day. That's what that he says.
Okay. All right.
That does not pronounce anybody guilty. Indeed, Abraham and his wife have not been sentenced to prison, a jail term, because the Attorney General spoke. What the Attorney General has said will be tested in court. So if they have any contrary facts to dispute what the Attorney General has done, they will put it before the judge. The judge will make a determination. Okay. So it doesn't matter what the Attorney General says. No judge convicts anybody because of what the Attorney General says. The judge will look at the evidence before him and make a determination based on what answers the accused persons provide. So I don't understand what the MPP is saying. They just don't want the Attorney General to shed light on supposed wrongdoing. That is all that there is. Because they know that perhaps there's a political price to pay for it. That is what it is about.
Okay.
Otherwise, I don't get it.